I'm Jeff Barone, the President of the Boardman Board of Education. On behalf of the school board and our administrators, I would like to thank all of you for taking time away from your personal lives to come here tonight to this very important meeting. The one thing we all have in common here is an emotional investment in our community. And with that, the understanding that the quality of our schools is vital to what it means to live in Boardman. I consider it a privilege and an honor to be trusted with the responsibility to serve on this board. Please know we all take our duty to the taxpayers as well as the welfare of our Boardman students to heart every day. It should be no secret we find ourselves in a financial crisis in this district. By now, you have probably heard about the reclassification of Mercy Health, Tower 2, as a nonprofit status, which in essence pulled approximately $1 million from our budget last fall. It propelled us into this situation, but it is by far not the underlying cause. Mr. Saxton will explain that further in just a few minutes. Some might say we should have seen it coming, and because we did not, I apologize. Unfortunately, it served as a flashpoint for this crisis, and it has left us little time. We have reached a turning point where without additional funding, we will be forced to cut teachers in this district for the first time since the early 80s. And with it, the loss of many important programs for our students. This can be devastating to a community, as I believe standing here before you tonight, the quality of our school system is directly connected to our property values and to the level of interest prospective buyers show in purchasing a home in Boardman. My wife and I graduated from Boardman in 1983, our children in 2011 and 2013. Which provided us a front row seat to the many opportunities they had while going to school here. Sitting on the board has brought me closer to the extra effort our teachers and administrators give to their profession. And I commend them for working as hard as they do and never settling for mediocre. Because we know in Boardman we have an excellent school system, and we have for 100 years. I will now turn it over to Superintendent Mr. Tim Saxton, who will share some thoughts on the value provided by our schools and what is at stake. Tim?
Thank you, President Barone. Just a quick introduction. I'm Tim Saxton, Superintendent of Boardman Local Schools. I'm a proud graduate of the Boardman High School. I have a daughter who's a graduate of Boardman High School. I have two daughters that are twin daughters that are juniors here at Boardman High School. My parents both work for the Boardman Schools, and I've lived in Boardman probably for all but maybe about 8 years of my life. First of all, I gotta be honest, I'm very humbled and honored by the number of people who showed up for this. Boardman pride, a mile wide, is really true tonight. It's just awesome to see. As you heard Mr. Barone say, this is about our financial situation. So I want to take about 10, 15 minutes and just paint that picture. The hospital pulled about $1 million out of our funding back in September. That was a surprise. It was a terrible surprise. It was a sparking point, a flashpoint, to take a look at our finances, because we know we've been battling to maintain our current excellence with the current funding levels. The hospital is not just the piece why we're here. You know we were asking for $4.9 million in May. If the hospital took $1 million out, with my math background, 4.9 million, 1 million, there's a gap there. Where does that gap come from? It's a two-part. It's the $1 million that was ripped out of our funding source, but also you've heard about Ohio school funding. A lot of people talk about Ohio school funding, but let me tell you what's unique about Boardman. there's a funding formula. And we've been subject to that funding formula, the new funding formula, for the last 5 years. Over the last 5 years, that funding formula has withheld $25 million from the Boardman Schools. The funding formula for Boardman, we are what's called a capped district. That's a whole nother meeting to go into the details of what a capped district is. But pretty much an example would be, and we are the only one in Mahoning County, our own legislators say we have a funding formula, here's how much you should get. We're sorry we cannot fully fund the Boardman Schools because of your property value. So this year, they tell us under their own formula, we cannot give you an additional $4 million. We're sorry, you're just going to have to make do and find another way. So with that funding formula, and to have $1 million pulled out, that is the flashpoint that started this meeting. Now, you're saying, okay, the funding formula, 5 years, this has been going on. Why are we having a meeting tonight? Well, the hospital was the flashpoint, but behind the scenes, we've been making this work. We have been lean. I don't know if you realize or not, but our teaching staff, through negotiations, 6 straight years of 0% increase on their salary base. In the early 2000s, the Boardman teaching salary used to be in the top 4 in Mahoning County. We've dropped to the bottom 5. We're in the bottom 5 of Mahoning County in teaching salaries because we've had to work and work to stay lean. We've not filled positions through attrition. We've decreased budgets. We've found creative ways to get projects done without going to the taxpayers. A lot of people say, you know what, you're asking for $4.9 million because you spent all the money on that nice new stadium. I kind of resemble that remark because my face helped promote that stadium, but that was privately funded. And many of the people in this room gave their own private donations. That was not taxpayer dollars. We needed a new bus garage. We found a creative way to do a land swap with our township, worked collaboratively with the trustees without going back to the taxpayers. We found ways to stay lean. But one of the problems with staying lean is all of a sudden you can find you're not producing very good results. But let me show you a graph that I like, and it's not because I'm a former math teacher, but scatter plots are kind of cool when you look at them. Some people might think that's an amoeba. That's not an amoeba. That's 612 school districts plotted on a scatter plot, and what they're comparing is how much they spend per student, and they compare it against the student achievement on the Ohio testing. So you take a look at Boardman in the upper left-hand corner. The further left you go is less you spend per student. The further up you go is your higher performers. You want to be in this left quadrant. You can see we're in the top 1/3 of school districts. We're spending less and we're getting a lot for our money. That is proof that we're staying lean. But we need to continue to stay lean. We just can't go say, okay, we're asking for $4.9 million. So we have created something that we call, for lack of a better term, Plan A. Plan A trims over $500,000. That's being done no matter what happens in May. Just to talk a little bit about Plan A, and I apologize, so if you're way off to the right or further away, unless you just got some phenomenal eyes, the graphic might be a little bit small. You will get a handout later with some of these details. But Plan A, basically you can see that we're eliminating over 11 positions here. This is through attrition. This is being done no matter what. This is us staying lean, but this is starting to really hurt. You can see in the elementary, 4 teaching positions, one per building. The curriculum we have designed, that personal instruction, starting to take a hit. Math, foreign language, special education at the high school. We're taking a look at having to possibly phase out one of our foreign languages. And in the district, an administrative position, a maintenance position, and 2 district intervention specialists. That's Plan A. That's us staying lean and fighting that funding formula that's just not working. But really you're here tonight because you also want to know what Plan B is. Plan B is what happens if things don't go our way in May. We need to cut over $1 million. And so again, this is going to be hard to see on some of the graphics, but this will be given out to you. So I apologize for some of the small print. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because we want to give you a chance to see it in print and talk in small groups about it. and then give us some feedback on Plan B. So we're not going to spend the whole time standing up here just talking to you. So let's just walk through Plan B. There's 5 little sections of Plan B. First of all, in Plan B, we're taking a look at a classified staff reduction. You take a look at this building. This building's almost 50 years old. Walk in a lot of high schools that are a lot newer than Boardman. It's in phenomenal shape. 1, because it's great quality construction, but 2, it's phenomenal people who maintain it. Part of that is some of our college-age cleaning help that assists and makes sure that the rest of the cleaning help and the maintenance staff can keep our buildings with their crucial longevity. Those positions will be eliminated. Transportation, we'll be eliminating 3 bus routes. In Boardman, we do plan our bus routes with convenience. It's great to pick up close to doors, but we got to start to take a look at grouping those. We'll do our best to stay away from the elementaries, but we can't make promises. So we'll be taking a look most likely at the middle grades, trying to eliminate those 3 routes and regrouping stops. In athletics, as you know, if you have an athlete, it gets more and more expensive each year to run an athletic program. Equipment becomes more expensive. Fees for the different programming, the referee fees, the rental fees, the transportation fees. So we're going to have to increase the single sport to $100 at Boardman High School and $50 at the junior high. That will close that gap so that our athletic program is properly funded. Administrative staff and services. Position eliminated will be our district communications coordinator. Some people complain because they think all they ever see is Tim Saxton on TV. Some guy this morning complained I ruined his workout because he saw my ugly mug on Channel 21. I apologize, all right? But that's part of our communications plan. Here's what's happening. Ever since they went to open enrollment, all schools became competitive. We used to work together, even the public schools. But now we're all competing, even the public schools. They want our students. I remember last year on Market Street, a billboard advertising for a local public high school for open enrollment. They want our kids. They want our best kids. Things are different. We have to fight back. We have to market ourselves. We have to make sure that we are talking about the Boardman schools and recruiting our own kids to keep our own kids here and making sure that when people are looking for places to live in the Mahoney Valley, they know Boardman is the destination to go to. That position will be eliminated. That's also a crucial link between the schools and the community, which is so important. Boardman way. We work together. We'll be eliminating Mahoney County Educational Service Center Administrative Services. That may not mean much to you, but the staff in here and the administrative staff in here knows the supports. Data analysis on a report card, which is so crucial. Supports in the classroom. Gifted intervention supports, teacher professional development, new legislation updates for administrators so we can stay on top of all the changes. That whole service will be eliminated and will go on the backs of our administrative staff and our teaching staff. The final piece. Having to eliminate 12 quality educators. People I looked into their eyes and hired. Having to take a look at kind of arts, the things that make Boardman special, that give us the 3 A's, 3 capital A's, knowing that one of our A's may become a small A. Here's some of the most energetic young staff members, and I have to look in their eyes to let them know that may not be around after May. At the elementary, you can see the art, the music. It's what makes Boardman Boardman. At center, cut the art instruction in half. Pull out technology. At Glenwood, the art, the health, cut the art and health, eliminate the health classes, and we start to cut into our core, our math, our science, and our social studies. And at the high school, they may seem like electives, foods class, but they're crucial electives. There are kids that need electives to graduate. They choose foods. It's a phenomenal program. Phys ed, Science and science electives, those positions. Like I said, this is the tough part about it. When you have to cut $1 million out of the school budget, we are a people business. And if you think we can take that scalpel and cut around and not hit people, it just can't be done. And that's where the scalpel landed. Our goal tonight, really, to be honest with you, honestly, this is not a levy rally. What we want is we want to make sure when you go to the ballot, you're just educated. So you understand what a yes vote is and what a no vote is. We're trying to be transparent. We're not doing threats. We're just trying to be open and honest because lived in Boardman, and the thing that I'm proud of is the Boardman Schools, the Boardman community, the Boardman Township, the Boardman people have always worked together. This is a sample of it. There are not meetings like this going on in school districts across Ohio. This shows that people care. So we need to respond to that and respect that and be transparent with you to make sure you understand ahead of time the choices that we'll have to make.